This is our picnic. That's for the dogs over there, and they're going to share some cucumber. And this is James's potato salad here, and mine's on the other side, and we're having some berries, and we're going to talk about you too. Well, mostly James is going to talk about you too.
And then there'll be some ambient noise in the background. We're just having fun. Huh?
Yeah, people having fun at Dinosaur.
It's at Provincial Park, Dinosaur Provincial Park.
Yeah.
So do you want to introduce you two before you start eating or something like that?
No, really.
Okay.
I guess I should say, like, with the salad, mine is different than James's salad. James has onions in his potato salad because I know he likes onions.
And onions don't like you, right?
And they don't like me, so mine doesn't have onions. And his has pickled carrots, like sweet pickled carrots, like for bammy kind of carrots.
Oh,
that's why I stuck that there to hold it down.
Okay.
And so both of ours, the base is not mayo. The brand that's not mayo. And then cider vinegar, like apple cider vinegar, and celery seeds, a little bit of pepper or salt, and what else? Can't remember. I put some dill in James's. I like fresh dill in potato salads. The fresh dill herb. But anyway, I didn't have it, so I had to use some of the sprig from in a dill pickle jar, and I hope it works out okay. So anyway, I put a lot of Keen's mustard in mine, and I realized, oh wait, because I put it in both, right, and it's hot, because I wasn't finding the not mayo. It says, why not? And I'm like, because it's not good.
Yeah.
It's really bland.
Which is good for me, but
yeah, but it doesn't, not good for me. And so
there's hot mustard in both, or?
Well, there's mustard in both, but but I gave you some cheese. You can add cheese to your salad.
You don't want any of the cheese, right?
No. And yours is sweeter, so it should count. So we'll see what happens.
Main thing I'm worried about is some things that don't agree with you, some things that don't agree with you.
Yeah.
So I think the cheese might have to counteract the acidity. So, here you go, folks. Fair warning, if you don't like YouTube. We introduced this several minutes ago. YouTube, 18 videos. It doesn't say there are 18 top videos, so on and so forth. So this is Adam Clayton, Larry Mullen, Paul Hewson, and I think his name is Dave Evans, not Dale Evans. That's Roy Rogers' wife.
No, it's not going to happen.
But
Chicken? If you're good, you get chicken.
Dave Evans is otherwise known as The Edge, and Paul Hewson is otherwise known as Bono. Anyway.
Oh, there you go. That's why I was trying to hold it down.
Well, I couldn't have the cheese on top of it. I'll put them on.
No.
Okay? Just put it in my.
No more chicken for you then.
Because they say do not remove, right?
No chicken then.
Do not remove the slip.
You had to be quiet to get chicken. Now you get no chicken. That's how it works.
Oh, he gets the chicken then. He gets
no chicken for Albert.
Okay, so it's amazing. The extras. How come we never saw the extras?
I think you did.
I don't think so. It was
Whatever.
just 19 cuts, and then I saw 18, 19 out of 19.
Yeah.
So maybe we can see that on the way back. I don't know. These are outtakes and stuff like that. And so many of these songs I'd rather watch Celtic Woodland. Anyway, that's the theme for the day, I guess. Travel is Irish. Although Celtic could be Gaelic, Scottish, it could be Welsh, it could be Cornish, it could be Manx, it could be Breton, actually. They're Celtic. That's Bretagne or Brittany in the northwestern part of France. So, I didn't realize, I think, to the extent I do now after watching this, how deep a fall off there was from about 85, 86, 87 for U2's material. And you know, there was a steep climb upwards because I think I've got all of U2's albums up through Rattle and Hum, and those first ones before Joshua Tree are maybe the one before. I think the one before would have had Pride in the Name of Love, but they're pretty nondescript. And that's the way I described the stuff since Rattle and Hum. Pretty nondescript. You know, like, and that's not what I came to expect from this stuff, particularly on Joshua Tree. So, and it really stood out when you had all of these things just one after another. It wasn't, strictly speaking, chronological order, I don't think. Yeah. So what I'd recommend to Paul Houston, you're younger than I am, I think. Might be getting around retirement age. Do please pick up a book and do some reading? Or what's wrong with you? How come you didn't have much of a poetic gift, but you don't seem to have any of it left? I am going to mention that, you know, I know a Catholic guy who, from Ireland,
Opie?
who, I think from Northern Ireland, who actually thinks U2, the guy's about my age, thinks U2 played a measurable role in kind of calming down the horrible terrorism in Ireland. And it, you know, like, started in '69, and I think it was more than anything else communist influenced. Both sides were at fault, but one side was more at fault. That's just the way it goes. And the sad thing is the communists took over the role that the Nazis had in Ireland. And before then, the non-Nazi Germans, like during World War I and stuff like that. And so he figured this guy I knew at university, roughly my age, he was figuring U2 played a measurable role. I was talking about something, I must have seen it on TV or something like that, heard it on the radio. They're interviewing Bono Vox, Paul Houston, and it was at some one of his huge mansion-like houses, and it talked about him having a huge, big, fancy car. You know how I kind of joke about getting a Maserati if we ever make $1 million? Well, kind of that. And that's not, you know, like, here's the thing, Paul Houston, you once said, and it's important, it's an important thought. I think it's in Bullet the Blue Sky or another song. Might be in Rattle and Hum, but the God I believe in, mister, ain't short of cash. So that's directed at some of those televangelists that were really popular in the 80s that might even be more popular now. I think Jimmy Swaggart actually has swaggered back into the limelight.
Interesting.
Yeah, what a scumbag. You know, I think he got, you know, he's practically crying, probably, you know, had some tear gas chucked at him, you know. I have sinned, saying, but he's, I don't know. Jim Baker, I don't know what happened. Tammy Faye, I always felt sorry for her. I don't know what happened to the gay guy who was outed. He was like anti-gay in his preaching and stuff like that. He was at least occasionally bisexual. Sure. Jim Baker, Tammy Faye Baker. Yeah, I think so. He was married to. No, it was a different guy. Not Jim Baker.
Okay.
But yeah, he looked like a nice enough guy. You don't go around gay bashing anytime, much less if you're gay. Seems hyper hypocritical. And then There were other ones, Oral Roberts, like a wonderful name. There was a baseball player called Oral Hershiser, and his coach, Tommy Lasorda, had a bit of sense of humor. He said, I don't really like calling him by his first name, something like that. Tommy Lasorda. Yeah. But, like Oral Roberts, like what's that about? I'm not going to go with obvious jokes about that. But, Oral Roberts University, probably about the intellectual firepower of a second, third grade junior college here in Canada, stuff like that. Oral Roberts University. Anyway, the God I believe in, Mr. Ain't Short of Cash. But here's the thing, Paul Houston, or Bono as you, you're talking, you're, as far as I'm concerned, you're kind of like talking trash, because I don't like hearing about you living in a big mansion and having big fancy car, having several big fancy houses and stuff like that. One should be enough, or two at the most. I mean, if you're living in Ireland, you want to get out of there during the wintertime. And you don't need a fancy car or several fancy cars. You don't have to be like Rod Stewart or George Harrison or something like that. Those guys were pretty, well, George Harrison was. Rod Stewart, so far as I know, is still alive. Not artistically. But Ron Wood, like you're putting yourself in that kind of company. And they're as superficial as water on top of oil. No, oil goes on top of water. Whatever. Anyway, I kind of hurt my back, so I'm not totally coherent. I'm coming up that ladder. Anyway, made it up. So, yeah, read a book, and if you're going to be a Christian and advertise yourself, what is it that Jesus said? Like, read the New Testament. And don't just read it perfunctorily, Paul Houston. Give all you have to the poor. What is it? Take up thy cross and follow me. If you're going to advertise yourself as a Christian, you had better walk the walk. I'm tired of, like he's an aggressive propagandist.
Yeah.
I'm tired of aggressive propagandists talking the talk and not walking the walk. It's that simple. I hope you're taking notes, Paul Houston. And last I heard, you were running to fat. Like you're worried about people starving and stuff like that. You better get some money out there to the poor. I don't like hearing about you living in castles and so on and so forth. And for Pete's sake, I know you don't have much range, but try to write a melody every so occasionally. Okay? Now, I'm really expressing more like my disappointment because...
You are, because In the Name of Love was great. One more...
Yeah, exactly right.
I don't know what it's about.
So was... I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Even something like With or Without You. I did like that, and you give yourself away. There's kind of like an ambiguity there and stuff like that. Maybe even expressing an ambivalence. These things, and then there's Rattle and Hum. There's a very poor version of Rattle and Hum here because they cut off the beginning. That's more than 50% of the effect of the song, where you've got this kind of like, I think it's compliments of Eno and stuff like that, and the guitar kind of starts off slow, not slowly, but quietly. And it keeps on building and building, and then finally, what they've got, I think it's in Rattle and Hum, it might be, is it Tempe Stadium or something like, Sun something or other stadium down in the Phoenix area. All of a sudden they turn on the lights and it's just wham, you're getting full volume. But all the while it was building up. In this, they've got them preparing things. There's guys with a megaphone. Oh, okay, there are cops here, arranging the fans and stuff like that. Whoever came up with that thought for that, they should have paid the man for messing up the music. Probably charged, huge coin for it. Anyway, I did enjoy moments of it, but wait, 3 moments out of 19, that's not enough. And especially when those moments are basically from 4 moments, I'd say, from a couple of years. And guess what? 1985 or 86 is like 30 years ago. It's a generation ago. There's no way you should have a fall off like that. Am I being hypocritical? I'm still discovering stuff.
Opie.
I mean, you started to write poetry when you were how old? About 45 years old. Paul Houston could do that. A little bit over that. He didn't do it. That's about all I got to say about it.
Okay.
You can review this park.
Oh, it's a wonderful park.
I never realized we were here on
Yeah.
a very hot, dry day. I
This
think it
is
was
the
in
time
April.
to come.
Well,
right
not
after
necessarily
it rains and
after
it's
it
blooming
rains.
and yeah.
But you don't
So-
get many rains like this
I
in
guess.
southern Alberta.
It was perfect. Today was a perfect day.
Wow.
So, how's your potato salad?
It's way better than my mom because you threw in other things.
Okay.
I don't like saying that about my mom because she was an awesome
I know.
cook.
I shouldn't have made you say anything about it.